Hi everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. All you dads out there, happy Father's Day. Hope everybody can do something fun and just enjoy a nice day today. So I am looking at a XL-76. This is another one of those Canadian saws that came down from my friend James. And this has actually not been that much of a challenge. Fuel hose, I think, what the hell else? Fuel cap vent, and just some general cleanup and all of that. And I had this thing running pretty good, but there was just this weird kind of odd clank when it was running. And on a hunch, when I shut it off, I did this. Now obviously it shouldn't sound like that, and your first instinct might be, oh, it's a bearing or something like that. This has the S clutch on it. So what that is, one ear is broken and loose in there. Come on now. And boy, those weren't tight at all. Those would have backed out with any amount of running. So, there you go. There is the offending clutch shoe that is broken. Now, I really like these clutches. I actually think they're extremely durable, and I have no problem running one. In fact, if I have the choice on something like a Super 2 to run the S clutch versus the new 3 shoe, I'm going to take the S clutch any day of the week, but I also know what not to do to them. And obviously these can get hot and wear, but if they get that hot to where this metal breaks, you probably are slipping it too much. I think the most common thing is trying to install or uninstall one of these things. Normally I see them broken further back over here. This one, that could just be metal fatigue, who knows. But there's some options out there, and out of all the models that I've got IPLs for collected, the XL-76 is probably the one that is the weakest, followed by the XL-1. Go figure, the Canadian models. Those IPLs just don't pop up that often. So I've got two partial revisions. One, the complete XL-76 that's on my website. That parts list, a fella, I believe Jeff is out of Canada. He was able to provide me a scanned copy of that, which is awesome, because at least that one's complete. But there's some differences in these. They ran for a long time. The model series ran for a long time, and they changed minor things like handlebar mounts. You know, this is a solid setup. This does not use any rubber cushions at all. Some of the later ones do. And same thing on the clutch. You're going to see a lot of unique part numbers. Like I'm just shooting from the hip here. I believe the part number for this clutch is the 68362-5 in the IPL. This clutch is already a pain for guys because this is the one that they all have, 68362 on that shoe, but there's different revisions. There's two different crankshaft sizes that it's produced under. There's some where you have threaded holes here like this one, some where you don't. I mean, there's at least 3 major revisions to this clutch, and unless you know what you're looking for, you can get in a lot of trouble with it. I think you could safely use a 350-360 S clutch on here. It doesn't have threads for this cover. It's just going to have open holes. So that's going to be the one difference. And so these pins on the clutch removal tool are bigger than these threaded holes. So you would have no way to put a cover on if you used one from one of those, a 350-360 that has these bigger threads. One possibility is the Homelite 240 used this same clutch, and it did have a threaded cover. So that may well work. I don't remember what that dash is. That one might be a -6, but look it up in an IPL. Don't take my word for that. So anyway, the options you've got here, you can stick with an S clutch and stick with a 2 5/8 drum. The XL I'm going to safely say from a 103 up to a 123. Any of those models that have this style clutch, you can use the corresponding drum, and the same thing for the one that they call the optional heavy duty clutch. Now this is a 3-inch and it's a 69459. I've got a few of these in stock. And then the corresponding drum is an A65988. Matches up perfectly. Now this drum is a splined one, so we're going to put a rim sprocket on this. I really like those a lot. But there are spur sprockets in this size that fit those, the XL-123s and some of the earlier models that'll correspond and bolt right up here. The big thing is you just want to match your parts. It's easy if you start looking out on eBay and you say you just type in, XL-123 clutch and sprocket, you might end up with a mix match. You might end up with one of these 3-inch sprockets and a 2 5/8 drum if you're ordering just based on what it's labeled. So make sure that you've got stuff matched up. And of course, anybody who has a problem, if you're wondering, hey, is this stuff going to all work together, feel free to shoot me an email and I'll gladly help you match up what you're looking for. Just for grins, we're going to see if this clutch will come off without too much drama. Okay. So remember, these are a reverse thread. If you try and take it off the standard direction, it's not going to work. They're kind enough to label which direction is on. So yeah, this has probably gotten hot, and there's some sort of an imperfection on the back there, so this metal may have been fatigued from the beginning, but it's also very, very worn. See how it's cut down into the on? A new clutch would be how that metal, there'd be another 1/16 of an inch there, so I'm going to guess this got very, very hot. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, the bearing and race should be a direct fit to this drum. Nope, I'm wrong. So that means, okay, IPLs do detail some of this. I think this means it needs the Super XL caged bearing and thicker bearing race, which is what we're going to try. Yep, there we go. A lot of these rim sprocket setups were like that. When you upgraded, you had to use the bigger bearing and inner race. Oh, the bearing is right. That must mean it's a 360 race. I don't know if I have any of those out here. Again, this is why it's probably easier to go to your IPL before you start the project and get all this stuff taken care of, which I did not do. But I think I'm going to have to, because I don't think I have a 360. Maybe we got lucky. There we go. You can see the thickness difference of the two races there. There we go. And then with this big heavy duty clutch, the nice thing about it is it creates its own inner shield with the sprocket. We should have a washer in there, rather than just letting it ride on that hub. And we'll see if we got one of those handy. I may be forced yet to go in and actually use the IPL. There we go. That'll work. spinner on. And I've got a little bit of rust. Even though it's a new old stock part, it's not uncommon. It's amazing some of the storage techniques that were used, especially when people stopped selling Homelite. In many cases the parts just got relegated to a back shelf somewhere, or even worse, thrown out in a wet old shed. I've had to throw a lot of stuff away because of that. And there we go. So that is an actual upgrade for your XL-76 if it has the old one. This has got much more holding capacity, and that style of 3-shoe clutch I also am somewhat fond of. Clutch shoes are super easy to find if you ever wear one out. Just replace the shoes, don't replace the whole clutch if you don't have to. So anyway, there's a little information on XL-76s. This will carry over to the Super XL-130 as well. I don't think too many of them were produced with the S clutch. I think they switched over to the bigger 3-inch here. But again, the Canadian IPLs have unique part numbers, and a lot of times there is a direct interchange, and I've never been able to figure out why that exists that way, other than I'm going to assume that those parts were manufactured in a Canadian plant, and that's why they have their own part number. But some of that may be just lost to history. In any case, you have options if you need a clutch and or drum on an XL-76 or Super XL-130.